This is Phyllis Cole-Dai coming to you from Brookings, South Dakota, along with my four-footed friend Dusty, who might make another appearance before we're done here. I hope that you're all doing well in the midst of these incredibly difficult times that we're living through. I want to give all of you my heartfelt wishes for your good health. If you are having to leave home to do some of the essential work to care for those of us who are fortunate enough to stay home, be careful out there and stay safe as much as you can. I'm very grateful to you for all that you're doing. If you're unemployed right now or facing some other hardship due to the pandemic, again, my heart goes out to you, and hopefully you might find something in my work right now that provides some consolation to you. The reason that I'm talking to you today is that I am launching a new book, and it's called For the Sake of One We Love and Are Losing. I'm sorry, but Dusty is crawling around inside of my very large trash container here, so if you hear that, that's what's going on. This new book, For the Sake of One We Love and Are Losing, is a special edition book, and it has a very unique story behind it I wanted to tell you about. In February, before the pandemic was known to have reached the United States, I was in California on a personal writing retreat. I go every winter for about 10 days to some place that's a little warmer than South Dakota, just to give myself a boost. And on this retreat, I was working intensively on a novel in progress. But about a week in, between 3 and 4 in the morning one night, I was wakened by a very powerful dream. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about that dream. In the dream, a relative who was dying invited the family in for a celebration of her life. And there were multitudes of people there. And at the very end, she invited all of us to gather around her bed. I don't know how we managed that, but in the dream world, you can. And she asked us to read a poem to her together. And this poem was in the form of a book. And I can still see the turquoise color of that book, and I can sense its age, and I could feel the texture of its paper. It was a very, very special book. And it was a surprise that we were to read this, because the folks on that side of the family don't tend to have any great affection for poetry. But we did this, and as we read this poem to her together, an amazing wave of love and consolation swept through us. And it was that feeling, I think, that woke me up. When I woke up, there was almost like a voice telling me that I needed to write the words of this poem down. And the lines of the poem were still fairly clear in my mind at that point, and certainly that title, For the Sake of One We Love and Are Losing, was very clear. But, I wanted to go back to sleep, and it was kind of cold and dark in that room, and, I just argued with myself, but this voice or this impulse would not let go. And so I eventually reached for a journal and started scribbling down what I would remember. The lines were already starting to escape me, so I just wrote as fast as I could in any order that the lines came to me. And then when I had uh, remembered all that I could, it was like somebody threw a switch and I went back to sleep. The next morning I got up and I looked at what I'd written, and I expected it to be nonsense, but it wasn't. It seemed to have a lot of power to it. But I needed to be working on my novel, I told myself. So I tabled that poem until I got home. Um, and then I looked at it again, and I had the sense that this poem needed to be shared. Uh, so I crafted it as best I could, and then I sent it off to a few poet friends and said, am I fooling myself here, or does this really need to be shared? And without exception, they said I needed to share it. They offered some tweaks, for which I'm very grateful. But basically, the poem is in the form that I could remember from the dream. Um, I wanted to try to honor the feeling in the dream and the book that I had seen in the dream. So I turned this meditative poem into a short book, which is also something that could be used as a journal. It has enough blank pages and white space around the lines of the poem that you could journal in it. You could attach photographs of somebody that you've lost or are losing. This could be something that you use to work through your own grief process, or to give as a memorial gift to someone who's working through their own grieving. Um, and so the book also has a turquoise color. It has a handwritten kind of script. Um, it's the closest thing I can come within my budget to honoring the book that I saw in the dream. Um, so I'm going to be making that book available only through my website. This is a special edition book. I want to sign every book that is ordered and give people the opportunity to request a personalized inscription if they want to. Um, and so I'll be taking pre-orders so that I know kind of where to start in terms of quantity in ordering this from the printer. Hopefully the printer is able to continue with their work in the midst of the pandemic. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about this. I think that the timing of this is really interesting. I don't want to say that I'm taking advantage of the pandemic. This came to me before that. I was planning to release it on Memorial Day, but I've moved that up because I think there's a tremendous need uh, for resources like this in these times that we're going through. So I hope you'll go to my website, phylliscoledai.com, and check out the book. I wish I had a copy of it to show you right now, but because of the quarantine, I don't have a copy with me right now. But you can see the cover and some of the blurbs on my website, and you can make your pre-order there. If you're wanting to order the book after the pre-order period, that is fine too. I don't see that the book will go out of print anytime soon. So thank you for listening. And again, I hope that you can find some of my work helpful at my website and other places. Uh, Anything that I can do to help you through these times, just know that you're not alone in them. My prayers are with you, and take good care. Hunker down, stay safe. Deep peace to you.